Hello students, today we'll study second half of second chapter of grade 12, that is Lost Spring, written by Anis Young. In the first half, we studied about the plightful condition of rag pickers in Simapuri, and in the second half we'll see the bad condition of bangle makers in Firozabad in UP. So let's start. Mukesh, I want to drive a car. In first half, Sahibe Alam was the protagonist, means the central character of the story, and in the second half, Mukesh is our hero of the story. When Anis Young asked him what he wants to do in life, straightway he says that I want to drive a car. Mukesh is a young child from bangle making family in Firozabad. He is very ambitious, full of desire, and he wants to become a motor mechanic. He is doing a daring job to think for being a motor mechanic. The reason being, since generations, they have been down to do just the job of bangle making. He is first child in the family who thinks differently. But Anis Young says that his dream looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets. Mirage means optical illusion. In summer season, when we drive a car or walk down the road or in sandy area, so we have a sense as if at 10 or 15 feet ahead there is a pool of water. Some water is there on the road or on sand. And when we move on, that reflection of the water, by the way, this is not reflection, this is illusion of the eyes, that also keeps moving, means we can never ever reach that reflection of water. That is known as mirage. And in this case, mirage is what? Mirage means the ambition and the goal and the desire of Mukesh to become a motor mechanic. So Anis Young wants to say that yes, the child is having a desire to become motor mechanic, but it seems very difficult for him to realize his dream and desire. It seems almost impossible for him to become that because no one has done this job so far in his family. All people in bangle making community know just one thing, how to make bangles. So how this child can be an exception in this case? That's why she says that it seems very difficult that he'll be able to realize his dream into reality or not. But she is happy that at least the child is thinking different from other people in the community. Firozabad and bangle making industry. Firozabad is few kilometers away from Agra and is known for his glass blowing industry only. We can say Firozabad is a big hub, a center of glass blowing industry, bangle making industry. And in Firozabad, every other family is engaged in making bangles. Around 20,000 children, not people, almost 20,000 children, they work in this industry. We can think about the height of child labor over there. And because of working in glass industry, bangle making industry, these young children lose their eyesight as well as their health premature. Means their childhood is spoiled completely at a very young age. That's why the title of the chapter, Lost Spring. This is a very figurative and metaphorical title. Spring over here refers to childhood because childhood is thought to be the golden age. But for these children, childhood means nothing because they start working. The moment they come to their senses, they become capable to do something, they are forced to do and contribute to their family. They support their family by earning something through making bangles. So, in childhood, when the young children just they love to play, they love to enjoy themselves in different ways. These children born and brought up in bangle making communities, they know only one thing, and that is making of bangles. Play, fun, frolic are not the words for them. Stacks of different colored bangles can be seen. Over here you can see almost in every house. Like the people who go to industry, they work over there in factories, but rest of the people, those who do not go to factories for work, they work from home. The raw material is supplied to them at homes, and they with their elders, the young ones, the children with their elders, they do the job of making bangles over there only. And you can see the heaps of bangles can be seen almost in every courtyard of bangle making families. Mukesh and his family, because Mukesh is the protagonist of this chapter. Protagonist, central character. He is the protagonist, central character and hero of this chapter. He is illiterate, illiterate like his forefathers. Means every member of bangle making community is illiterate, uneducated. They don't know how to read and write, and they are engaged in bangle making since generation. This is not first time they are doing this job. This job has been passed on to them from their forefathers. Not aware about child labor and law about it, because they are illiterate, they are uneducated, they have no idea how hideous child labor is. They do not know that child labor is a crime in reality. They live in dingy cells. Dingy cells, very small houses. When we say dingy, it brings out an imagination of very small structures, small houses which are poorly ventilated and not properly electrified. So they live in such houses. Mukesh's eyes beam, they become bright, they become full of happiness as he volunteers to take the author home. When Mukesh comes across Aniston, the author of this chapter, he invites her to his home, and the lady agrees happily. She wants to go there and she wants to analyze the situation, because this was her profession. She used to go to the poor people, she used to interview them and write about their lives also. So she agrees, and Mukesh becomes very happy that somebody has accepted his invitation to go and just receive the hospitality. After reaching over there, she found that the house they were living was in a very plightful and very poor condition. Humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state, coexisting, living together. We also have kettles, we have pet animals, but we have a separate section for them in our house. But it was not the case of the bangle making community, and it is not even case even today. In the case of bangle makers, if we go and see their situation in Firozabad, they live just like primeval state, like cavemen, when the people used to live in jungles, when the society hadn't come into existence, like old days. Animals also are living over there, they are being tethered over there, and they also live at the same place, because the area where they live, their house is constructed in a very small area, it's very congested. And we can think about students, when animals urinate, when their dung is there, so such a bad and foul smell comes out all the times, keep coming out, and the people are living over there, so they are leading a very hellish life. Their life is not less than hell over there. When they are in factory, working in the factory, there the rooms are poorly ventilated, and they are not properly electrified. They have to work in dark. When they come back to home, they find such an environment where everything is very foul. So, in total, we can say their life is just like hell on this earth. They are not leading a life better than animals. Mukesh, Mukesh's sister-in-law, a frail young woman, wife of Mukesh's brother. She is frail and young woman. She is very weak. Frail means very weak and unhealthy. She looks after her husband in law and Mukesh. Three people are her responsibility. She takes care of the needs of her husband, her brother in law, that is Mukesh, and her father in law, that is father of Mukesh. And she follows the customs. They do not have any sense of modernity. They are not the sophisticated people. Their thinking, their ways, everything is old age. Mukesh's father, he is a very old man, old and poor man. Earlier he was a tailor, but he couldn't get good income out of that profession, so he dropped that job and he joined, like all others, he became bangle maker. He joined bangle making. Now in this profession also he is not earning too much, and the result is he is not even able to renovate his house. He can't even repair his falling house. No plastering of the walls, no whitewashing, nothing is there. Not only this, he even has failed to send his sons to school. And this is not the case of this man only, this is applicable to every bangle maker in Firozabad. They do not have money enough to send their children to school. And without education, there is no possibility for them to change their family profession, that is bangle making. That's why bangle making has become their family line, family profession. One generation passes it to the next generation because they can't impart education to their children. They can't send them to schools. And without going to school, they can't do anything else because they do not have any other skill. And he, like himself, he trained his sons also how to make bangles. And they also become bangle makers. Mukesh's grandmother, we are told that she is a fatalist lady. Fatalist, she believes in luck and fortune. She thinks that whatever we are because God has given us all these things. And if God has selected all these things for we people, who are we to change our this line? This profession of making bangle is directly given to we people. It is written on our forehead that we people will make bangles and everyone who is born to our family will be making bangle. She thinks that this is the decision taken by God only. So you can think about this is their thinking only, students, which keeps them backward. The reason being, whatever you do, first you need to have thinking for that, thought for that, because your actions are the result of your thinking. If you think high, you can do something better. If your thinking remains stereotyped, obviously there is no scope for any great action. And this keeps them continue with their job of bangle making because they have accepted this one deep down in their heart and soul that we are born only for making bangles. And this thinking is the greatest hurdle in their life. Her husband means Mukesh's grandfather went blind due to bangle making. As we know that throughout the day, starting from very young age, they work in very dark hutments, small rooms poorly ventilated, having no electrification and nothing, in dark room. They keep just sitting in front of the glare of the light which comes out when they join the bangles. So this causes a lot of harm to their eyes, as well as the glass powder that keeps floating into the air. They breathe in that glass powder, and as a result they become asthmatic. So they lose their eyesight and they become the patient of asthma also. They lose their health also. Same case happened with grandfather of Mukesh also. He was not an exception in this case. And his grandmother says that, can a God given lineage ever be broken? Lineage, the family profession. As I told, that this is the thinking which keeps them ungrown, which keeps them underdeveloped, which keeps them backward. Savita and the old lady. Then we are told about a young child who is sitting with her grandmother and joining the bangles, making bangles at home only. They are grandma and granddaughter. They both are soldering the bangles. They are joining. Solder means they are joining the bangles. They are given the raw material by the industrialists and they work from home, as I told. So they are doing that job, sitting at their home, and they are joining the bangles. Savita, who is this young child, is so young that she even can't understand the purpose of these bangles. She is so young. Maybe she is 5, 6, 7, or 8 years old, and she doesn't know the meaning of these bangles. But Anison says that one day when she will get married, she will understand how important these bangles are in the lives of the married women. The old lady who is sitting by her side means grandmother. Maybe she is grandmother of Savita, and she complains that एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. Over here we can see the height of the plight, how poor the people are, how meagerly they are living. They can't even satisfy the basic human needs, that is, roof on their head, clothes on their body, and food in their stomach. They can't fulfill these three basic needs. What about the progress? What about the development? What about being bigger than what they are? No. First, they have to satisfy their three basic needs. They can think about anything else. Construction of a house for family is the only achievement of the old lady's husband. And whenever her husband talks with the people, he feels very proud. Why feels proud? Because he has been able to make house for the family members. Making a house in his lifetime is just like an Olympic medal for these people. They can't think beyond. Common complaint of every house. We talk to anybody in Bengal making community and all have the same complaint, same issue, same thing. What is this? Cry of not having money. Every person in Bengal making community says that they do not have enough money because their incomes are very low. They are very meager. Their income is very meager, meager. That means very low, insufficient. No any other job option. Other than bangle making, they do not know what to do. So they have to continue with this job, and this job doesn't give them much money. And as a result, they don't have enough to eat also. We're not talking about the balanced diet. They hardly think about balanced diet, good food. They first think about sufficient. The food must be sufficient in amount so that they can satisfy their hunger properly. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Lament, the sorry state of the affairs. Sadness, the same displeasure. Whatever their forefathers used to make complaint about, the same complaint is with the young generation. And the story goes on and gets down to the next generation. Means all people, all the generations are repeating the same thing. What is that same thing? They do not have enough money. They do not have any other job option, and they do not have sufficient food to eat. This thing, these three things are complained by this generation. They had been complained by their forefathers, and obviously if the situation doesn't change, the things, same things will be complained by the coming generations also. So the echo the lament of their elders means whatever their elders used to complain about and say about, the same thing is being complained and being said by this generation also. Years of mind numbing toil. Mind numbing toil. Toil means hard work, and mind numbing, such a hard work that disables your mind to function, which doesn't leave you capable to think better, to think creatively, to imagine for betterment. So their mind has stopped working creatively because of the hard work. Because creativity is the luxury of free time. If people have free time, they can be creative. Or we can say this one otherwise also, like all the creative people, if we peep into their life, we find they have great time with them. They get isolated, spend a lot of time on the idea, and then bring out something which never ever been brought in this world. So creativity is the luxury of free time. And their hard work has killed all their initiative and ability to dream. Because as I told that your thinking is the base to your action. And if you do not have time to dream, to imagine things and to think about, you can't act accordingly. So they don't have any time spare with them to think about their future. They don't have time for planning and all. As a result, they are just bangle makers. They can't do anything else. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? Anything asked these people when they complain that they are being exploited by these people, industrialists and all. So the author asked them, then why don't they make a union of theirs? In response, they told that because they have fallen in the vicious circle of middlemen. Middlemen, the people who are in link with the industrialists as well as in the link of these people. They keep supplying the child labor to those industrialists. So those people are the middlemen. And then they say that they'll be holed up and beaten by police. In case they try not to work for them or they think about doing something else, then they are put into prison. They are arrested by the people on the false charges and they are beaten very badly. Out of the fear of being tortured, they don't stand against the factory owners, the industrialists and the rich people in bangle making industry. No one to lead them. Another thing is a big issue. They say that we do not have any leader, and leader must be someone educated who knows everything about their rights and what to do next and how to avoid all these problems. So they say that we do not have any person among us who can lead us in the right direction. Because of that also we can't make our union, we can't stand united. And then they say that being uneducated, they are not aware about their rights. What are their rights? They don't even know that. So if they are being tortured by police or they are being tortured by the industrialists, they can't raise their voice against them. The reason being they can't take their stand. They are uneducated and they are not aware about their rights. Two distinct worlds. The author says that if we see in Firozabad, you will find two different worlds are there. One is the world of the bangle making community who are caught up in the web of poverty, who are suffering from acute poverty, and they are burdened by the stigma of caste. Stigma of caste, a black spot of caste. Caste, what is caste? That is bangle makers. People look down at them with hatred that they are bangle makers. They are not respected in the society. So on one hand, there is a world of those bangle makers who are suffering from a lot of criticism in the society, and they are suffering from acute poverty also. On the other hand, there is a world of sahukars, means money lenders, the people who give money on interest to others, middlemen, policemen, keepers of law, lawyers and magistrates and all, judges, the bureaucrats, high ranking officers, IAS, IPS officers, and politicians, political leaders. This is the world of rich people, influential people, and the powerful people. And Annie Zhang says that together they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Whether we talk about Simapuri and rag pickers, or we talk about the bangle makers in Firozabad, Annie Zhang says that all these rich people have conspired against them and forced them to remain just poor. Otherwise, if the rich section of the society thinks differently and starts working for these poor people, obviously, if not today, tomorrow, if not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, their situation can change. But no, they are having no support from the rich section of the society. Rather, they are forced to remain what they are. And before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of his growing up. In bangle making industry, she says that if you want to do something different from the family professional line, you need to think in a very different way, and you need to be courageous. You need to be a dreamer. You need to be determinant. But all these things, being dreamer, being daring, being determinant, is not the part of the training of their life. Since childhood, they are taught just one thing, that is how to make bangles. All other things are just rubbish for them. That's why growth is not visible in their community. And Annie Zhang says that when I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. But she says that Mukesh is just different. By the way, no one is there to train him for all these things. Still, he is having an instinct in him to become something different. We can see a light of hope in the eyes of Mukesh. And she says that this thing gives me happiness. Because every young child needs to have this hope. Every young child needs to have a courage like Mukesh. Every young child must be having the fighting spirit like Mukesh. Then only we can grow into different dimension and the higher dimension of life. He says that I want to become a motor mechanic. And whenever you ask this question, what you want to become, he repeats this answer, that I want to become a motor mechanic. It shows his determination. Then she asks, how would you become a motor mechanic? He says that I'll go to garage for training. And then she says that there is no garage in your locality. He says that it is obviously miles away from my home, but I'll walk to that place. I'll learn, but I will learn anyhow. This is the height of his courage and determination. This is the height of his daring nature. So, well, students, this is all about this lesson. Hope you got the gist of the chapter. Thank you. Bye for now.